Hello, and welcome back to the Sports Brief Podcast. This is Colton Hall, your host. We've got our co-host, Tristin Rancourt. How you doing?
Doing good.
And we've also got another big buddy of mine, Shane Herman. How you doing, big guy?
Good.
Okay, so let's get kind of into this thing. I gotta be honest with you guys. We got some announcements. Number one, it's Shane's birthday. Happy birthday, Shane.
Thank you.
We're not going to go into the birthday song because, again, I'm awful. Anywho, we got a couple quick announcements. Number one, the Sports Brief Podcast submitted a request to be on iTunes, and that hopefully we get approved in the next couple days. We're on SoundCloud for those of you that don't know. So if it's easier for you to listen to SoundCloud, great. We're on it. Also, one more thing, and then we'll get this thing kicked off. The Sports Brief Podcast now has an email. It is thesportsbp@yahoo.com for t-shirt orders, other merchandise orders, and also questions of the week. We didn't get any questions for this podcast, so not a big deal. And here we're going to get started with this thing. Again, I got to thank both of you guys for joining me. I'm extremely excited to get this thing on the road. Let's see here. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is NFL standings. There's been a couple of teams that have been surprising. Basically, from what you guys have watched, what's been probably the coolest thing or maybe the most surprising thing for you guys?
I'll go ahead and start. I think the most surprising thing for me out of the whole league is probably the Buffalo Bills starting 3-0.
I know.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shocker to me. Other than that, across the league, there's not really any big surprises. I kind of figured Pittsburgh or Cleveland would be on top of the AFC North, but Big Ben's out, and the Ravens are on top of the AFC North, which isn't too surprising given the way Lamar Jackson's been playing. Expected a lot more out of the Browns than what they've shown this year.
I think we can ball.
As far as the NFC, really no surprises here. Maybe the Eagles starting 1-2, about to go 1-3 after they take a L from the Packers tonight. I expected them to be a little bit better to start the year, but other than that, not too many surprises. Saints are still on top of the NFC South as they should be, so nothing too surprising to me besides just the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm. Shane, what about you, big guy?
I'm right there with Tristin. I thought the Buffalo Bills were really surprising. And for a second there, in the AFC, but then in the NFC for a second, I was like, the 49ers are a little bit surprising, starting 3-0. But I think we're really going to figure out how good they are in the next few weeks. Some of their divisional games and when they play some tougher teams.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, maybe Philadelphia off to a rough start. Still doesn't scare me too much. They might come back and have a great season, get on a hot streak.
I got to be very real with you guys about something. Back in the day, I do believe I made fun of, I don't want to say made fun of, but I definitely didn't think that Mr. Dak Prescott was going to have his team playing this well. I think I even said at one point that Dak Prescott was not a franchise quarterback. I still kind of stand by that a little bit because I haven't seen enough. You've beaten two of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm not really caring right now. So once you kind of beat some of those other teams, and then we'll talk about it. But I do have to give the man props. He has been playing like there's absolutely no tomorrow. So that was something I have to give the man credit. He came out, he's been balling out, throwing a lot of touchdowns. Wasn't something that I expected him to do, especially because, when you think of the Cowboys, do you think of a passing football team? No, you don't. You think of a guy named Zeke Elliott that's going to run the football day in and day out and going to get the job done. I wasn't expecting this from the man Dak Prescott. I got to give the man props. So as far as that was my biggest surprise. And I had to, I really thought the 49ers, who, by the way, Tristin still thinks that George Kittle's the best tight end in football. And he is his guy. I can't believe how much of a man crush you have on George Kittle. No offense.
Sure.
And that's a good thing. I guess I can't talk, but because I have a crush on Adrian Peterson. He's the man. But I think that this week is actually going to be really telling. With the Bills, with the 49ers, with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys play somebody good. I can't remember who they play, but I'm hoping that they can come out. These three teams, if those three teams are all undefeated at the end of this weekend, I don't know what I'll say. I will say this about the Vikings because what were you going to say, Tristin?
Oh, I was going to say, I think the 49ers are going to a bye week this week.
Do they really? At week 3?
Week 4.
Week 4. Oh, duh.
Technically. But
gotta have a week 4 to go. Wow.
Yep, the Niners are going into a bye week, and the Cowboys actually play the Saints this week. So that'll be a hell of a game to watch. I think that'll be easily be the Cowboys' toughest test so far, and I think Teddy's gonna pull it out, come away with the dub.
Am I the one that like I feel so good for Teddy right now because like just everything that the man went through, like and just breaking your leg like that and just maybe never ever playing the game again and coming back to playing like he did. Now, let's be real. It's not like he's throwing the ball 50 yards down the field. He's got Alvin Kamara who's severely underpaid. Like it's literally a crime how much this guy is underpaid. I think Tristin said he's only making what, $2 million or something like that?
800,000.
800. It's kind of funny how like me thinking 800,000 isn't that much money when in reality I'll never make that much money in a year. It's just kind of funny to me, the guy deserves so much more, and because he is the Saints' offense, especially how tough he is to bring down. Now moving into the next thing here, we're gonna kind of go into the Cowboys here again. Dak Prescott is playing out of his mind right now. This isn't me taking a shot at Dak Prescott. This is me just being an honest fan. I don't expect Dak Prescott to continue this. I really don't. Again, not me being mean, not me hating on the man. I love him from a leadership aspect, but I don't expect him to continue to do this. The defense is playing well. Amari Cooper's doing his thing. Zeke Elliott. You don't need to say anything else. But I don't expect the Cowboys to continue to do this. Shane, do you think that the Cowboys are for real this time?
I think they're going to be one of the tougher teams in the NFC. They're probably going to be your player. When they're coming to town, you're always going to be a little nervous just because they have so many playmakers on their team. But when it comes down to crunch time, I think they'll follow their rituals and probably not make it at least to the NFC Championships, and probably not the Super Bowl. I just don't think they'll be that good. Had pretty easy schedule so far. Coming up, they got some tough road games. We'll see what they're really made of here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tristin, what you got for me?
I think the Cowboys are for real this year. Granted, they played the Dolphins, the Giants, the Redskins. I think a lot of people are still disrespecting the Cowboys just because of the teams they've played. But I think they're legit, and people should probably start putting some respect on them because they got the Saints this week, the Packers the following week at home in Dallas. They got the Eagles after that, Giants again, Vikings. But, yeah, they definitely don't have an easy schedule. But the way they started the season, the thing I've noticed the most about the Dallas Cowboys is Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator. I think he's doing a fantastic job. From week one, I watched the Cowboys' first game, and everything with the offense ran so smoothly. The plays were getting called in and out of the huddle, no delay of game penalties, no confusion. It just seems to be a very well-oiled machine. Their defense is also performing pretty well. As long as Dak Prescott continues to play like he's playing or close to as good as he's playing, then I think the Cowboys are definitely going to be legit. They'll probably be one of the top 4 seeds in the NFC, in my opinion.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Here's the thing. Again, I gotta specify this because I know a lot of Cowboys fans hate me because I don't put a lot of respect on Dak's name. Okay, let me explain something to you. The Dolphins are a JV team, boys. Like, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody, but let's be real about something now. The Dolphins are a JV team. If Dak Prescott goes out against the Saints, okay, if he goes out and absolutely he throws 3 touchdowns, you have my word right here. I will say, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of respect on their name. I don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl because, come on, it's only a month into the NFL season. But I will sit right here next week when Carter Schultz is on. By the way, that's another thing we'll explain in a second. When Carter Schultz is on next week, I will sit here and say that the Cowboys might be the real deal. I forgot to make this announcement, by the way, a couple more announcements. We do have T-shirts for sale for $20 a piece. Again, if you'd like to order those, you guys know what to do. Email us at thesportsbp@yahoo.com. But also, next week, we got a good buddy of mine, Mr. Carter Schultz, joining the show. Former Vikings defensive end. Wrote a story about him for the Unfiltered Sports Network. I'm really excited to get him on because he's, it's just going to be really cool having him on because he seems like a really good guy, and he was a terror for the Vikings while he was playing for him. So, anywho, no more announcements. Colton, we got to get focused. I'm sorry, I had a chocolate chip cookie before I came on air, and it's kind of messing with me right now. So, okay. About Antonio Brown. This has been – can we all agree that this has absolutely been like an offseason for the ages for Antonio Brown? Like, this has been absolutely bonkers. Like, I was expecting maybe at least at one time to, maybe have to maybe deal with half of the stuff that this guy's gone through. But the fact is, the man just can't catch a break. Well, it's not just that. Let me rewind. The man digs himself into a hole that I've never seen anybody dig themselves into. Like, he does all this thing. He wanted to make a stand with the helmets and everything. I get that. But then he has the audacity to come back and say the NFL did this to me. Come on now. You got to be able to take responsibility.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And like an hour ago, maybe not even an hour ago, I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but he got into a bit of a Twitter fight with Eric Weddle, the Rams safety. I could pull it up, but Eric Weddle's, or I think Golden Tate said something about, I don't know what he said, but Antonio Brown commented on it. He said, the game needs me. Eric Weddle commented on it saying, the game doesn't need you, blah, blah, blah. And they went back and forth for like 10 tweets. But yeah, Antonio Brown just making himself look like more of a clown than he already is. But I don't think he's going to play in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
The rest of the season. Apparently, there's teams showing interest. I just don't see it happening. I think like a few days ago, he re-enrolled in classes at Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Or wherever he went to school. I don't know.
It was Central Michigan, I think.
Central Michigan Circus. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think he'll play again this year, but I do think, I don't know. I think there's a real chance he plays next year for sure.
You know, I agree with that. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that he just has so much talent that you can't really say that, oh, he'll never play in the NFL again. But I do think he needs to, prove some character and show some integrity and just keep his mouth shut. I mean, there's so many controversial players in the league that do just fine. Why can't he just take some lessons from them? But he's out clowning around, just pulling ridiculous stunts, stuff like that. People are never going to sign him. They just don't want that in the locker room.
Yep.
So if he will play in the league, he's got to change. But definitely with that talent, he should be able to if he can get his act together.
This is just shocking for me. For like a guy, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? Like just coming off, not even 2 or 3 years ago. Just maybe last year, guy coming off a career year, and and that was not a career, but he's lighting up the NFL. He's easily one of the most productive wide receivers in the NFL. That's not to be mistaken with one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, who Tristin kind of opened my eyes on that and said Julio Jones, which I actually really agree with now because of everything.
Hey, I gotta say something about receivers. My friend really like this. The greatest receiver in NFL history, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans head coach. Look up the stats. The stats don't lie. This dude, I had no idea until my friend Cody told me this. Mike Vrabel had 10 receptions for 10 touchdowns.
Are you serious?
0 drops.
Okay, this guy's a legend.
Yeah, pull it up. Greatest receiver of all time.
Mike Vrabel?
Mike Vrabel. I think he played for the Patriots. But
yeah, look at this. He has 10 catches for 10 touchdowns. That's incredible. Wow. You know what?
Greatest of all time.
I'm going to put respect on his name. Okay. I'll put respect on his name because that man deserves it. That's incredible. 10 catches for 10 touchdowns. Wow. But back to what I was saying. Antonio Brown is a very productive wide receiver, but he's not the greatest. I don't think he's the most talented in the game. Julio Jones is like 6'3" and he can run. He's like probably a better looking version of Randy Moss. I don't know. I mean, I'm kidding. Maybe not a better looking version, but I think he's one of the closer things we could probably say to having Randy Moss, on in terms of, in terms of everything, on-field production, just everything. So let's see here. Well, man, we got a lot to talk about, man. I mean, we got some stuff to cover. By the way, I have the Cowboys finishing 7-9. Just kidding. I don't want to actually make some Cowboys fans mad. So we better get on with this. Daniel Jones' debut. We really need to talk about this because Ethan Volber, we got to give him a quick shout out, don't we, Tristin?
Yeah.
Because he called this. He said that Daniel Jones was going to come in probably week 8 and start. I was on the fence about it because I figured that the Giants would give Eli Manning a little bit of respect, and I just figured that after everything that guy has done for them, he probably deserves to be on there. He probably deserves to have his one last shot. So I was absolutely shocked that they didn't even do that. Like, they didn't even give him a chance to come back. Like they're just, they're immediately going to go to Daniel Jones, who, by the way, absolutely balled out, which again we'll get into. But I just wasn't expecting him to play this early. Tristin, can you kind of just explain how clutch his performance was?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I didn't watch most of the game. I watched the highlights after the game, but from what I saw, I think he earned a role as a starting quarterback for the next week at least, maybe for the foreseeable future. But as far as Eli Manning, I feel like the Giants have been giving him chances the last 2 straight years. He hasn't been anything better than he was these first 2 games the last couple of years. So for them to do it now, I don't think it should surprise anybody. I think everybody should be grateful that Daniel Jones is playing now instead of Eli Manning. I think it shows that the Giants, they want to win. They're not just letting Eli play out of respect. They want to win. They want to win now. It's probably not going to happen this year, but it just shows that it's more than, I don't know. It just shows that they want to win more than they want to. I don't want to say more than they want to show respect to Eli by letting him play and lose. But I think it was time. I think it's been time for a couple of years.
Yeah. Shane, what do you think?
I agree with Tristin completely on this. Like he said, it's been coming for a couple of years. There was even talk last year of benching Eli. And then this year, maybe no one would expect it too soon, but here it is. And he came in and provided an inspiring win for the Giants, probably when they needed it most. And let's hope, I guess, that he continues to inspire the team and they can pull out some W's, especially October 6th.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of different things you got to look into this. I want to preface this by saying I don't think from now on, and Ethan Bulber said that they're going 8-8. I got to heavily disagree with this because I say they're going 7-9, but if Saquon Barkley misses 4 to 6 games, there's no way Daniel Jones not having his best player on the field, and there's no way we can debate that. Saquon is one of the best backs in the NFL. You can't sit here and tell me that not having Saquon is going to make his job a little bit harder, if at the very least. So not having Saquon, I think, is going to be it's going to be really hard for him. But I mean, the guy ran for 2 touchdowns, threw for 2 more. Did he throw a pick? I didn't really watch the game, but I just remember just kind of going through the stats or the highlights. He was throwing dimes. He was doing what he was supposed to, and he escaped with a win. I don't think anybody was expecting that.
Yeah, no picks.
Yeah, no picks. So that was just a really good thing to see. Could this mean that he actually could be a franchise quarterback? Could we have misjudged him?
Go
Tristin
ahead.
or Shane? Okay, Tristin, you go ahead. Sorry.
About Daniel Jones?
Yeah, could he? Do you think this could actually be like a foreshadowing of how good he could actually be?
I don't know. You see it a lot. You see it a lot with first-year players that come out that ball out, and after that, they're not very relevant. I'm not saying it's going to be the same for Daniel Jones, but I don't think the expectations are probably way too high for him now since what he did this last week. I wouldn't expect him to play that good going forward. I would expect him to win because he showed he can win. But for everybody to place the franchise quarterback label on him is way too early. I think he needs a whole season, kind of like you don't think Dak's a franchise quarterback, and he's been there for this is 3rd year, I think. But
Third or fourth.
yeah, it's definitely too early to be labeling him a franchise quarterback. But if he can win, if they can go at least 8-8 with him, then I don't see Eli playing another game, probably. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Before I get to you, Shane, I got to say this. The reason I don't believe in Dak Prescott yet is because, listen, his first 2 years in the NFL, he had 22 touchdown passes or 22 or whatever it was. When he didn't have Zeke, when Zeke's not on the field, he's a completely different quarterback. I need him to continue to prove to me against good teams that he can win and throw dimes without Zeke, So, I mean, obviously, I don't think you're ever going to have Zeke miss that much time again, but it's the fact that I need you to prove to me against the Saints this Sunday that you are not franchise quarterback. Shane, what do you think about this whole, Jones thing, man?
Yeah, I'm, right there along with Tristin again on this it's too early to tell. He's kind of got to prove himself. if the Giants go 8-8 this year, that's Daniel Jones going 8-6. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Because Eli earned him the first 2 losses. But yeah, he's just going to need some time to develop and definitely prove his potential over the years.
Yeah. Can we get can we get a stat prediction from you guys? Do you think he'll throw over 20 touchdown passes?
Yeah.
You think? What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, with his arsenal on the team, it's very possible.
Okay. Evan Ingram, by the way.
Oh, I think Sterling Shepard, if you don't have him on fantasy, I'd pick up Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, he's
for sure. Because I'm not trying to knock Eli Manning, but watching the main difference between him and Daniel Jones playing, Eli doesn't look like he knows where he's going to throw the ball every play. Mm-hmm. He'll take it, and he'll wait too long. He'll get sacked. Daniel Jones looks like he's doing what he's supposed to do, sticking to the playbook. He's going to his 1 read, his 2 read. He's throwing it on time. He's not trying to make awkward throws, and he's actually throwing accurate balls. So I think I don't know what it was. Sterling Shepard actually did pretty well this last week with Daniel Jones, but
7 receptions, 100 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that I am wrong when I say, that I don't think but Dak Prescott is going to kind of go back a little bit on that. But I sincerely hope that I'm also wrong about Daniel Jones, because I would think I was like all the other analysts that said he wasn't going to do anything just because, I don't know, it's a cool thing to say. I mean, I've never been cool in my life, so I thought I'd try to be cool for once. But everybody was literally hating on this man because they didn't think that he was going to be the dude. So to see him already balling out, kind of proving us wrong in a way is actually really cool. I don't know if he's going to continue to do that. Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, I'm very glad I had him on my fantasy team because he absolutely went off, and I lost by 13 instead of 40, so that was nice. So, I think that with everything moving forward, you got to really, I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, a guy that probably, I wouldn't say the most hated on quarterback to come out of the draft, but I would say pretty close, top 5 at least. Like, because everybody, when they selected him, everybody was in uproar. Even to quote Ethan Volber, everybody was outraged. So I think that kind of moving forward, it's going to be one of those things that you just wish the guy nothing but the best, and I hope he does prove all of us wrong, because that just means that that it's that much better of a story, Now I'm going to be men with you, okay? I'm going to be a man. We need to talk about this Vikings. This NFC North, really. The Packers are 3-0 right now, and this isn't me taking a shot at the Packers. I didn't expect the Packers to start out 3-0, but that defense is already playing better than I expected. They're playing really well right now. The Lions too, like just this entire NFC North is kind of up in the air right now, and the Vikings go to Chicago to play a very key game against the Bears this Sunday. I'm scared for being a Vikings fan just because I've lost a lot and I've loved very little. So I mean, it's just the point that literally I'm expecting the worst. But what do you guys make of, like, Shane? What do you make of this NFC North?
Going back to our first topic in surprising teams. The Lions are undefeated. They have a tie, but that's a team that's very surprising. Coming in, the talk was, the Lions are just going to be at the bottom of the division. Still a long season. Could very well end up that way. The thing is, the Vikings and the Bears, one of those teams is going to be 2-2 this weekend and at the bottom of the pile. And the Packers, if they lose this week, I don't think it's the worst thing. I still think they have a lot of kinks in their offense to prove. Their defense has come a long way, and I think it's only going to get better. Those guys are showing a lot of promise, and it seems like the culture in the locker room is a lot different. They have some real leaders in there that are hungry for wins and hungry to be the best. Mm-hmm. That's what I got on the NFC North.
Tristin, you got anything you got to say?
I don't know if you already told me if Shane was a Packers or a Vikings fan.
He's a diehard Packers fan.
All right, good, cool. So, I don't know. The Lions, definitely pretty surprising. I think they played the Eagles last week. The Eagles should have won that game, but because of a dropped touchdown pass from Nelson Aguilar, they lost that game. But, as far as the Vikings and Packers and Bears go, I am not too surprised with the Packers defense. I I didn't see this good of a start coming from the Packers defense, but I knew the Packers defense was going to be significantly better than it was last year. But yeah, they're playing out of their mind, and they're all so young. They're all new to the system, and they're already this good. It's ridiculous. The Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, I think, most important pieces we have on defense besides Jair Alexander. He's been playing out of his mind. I think Pro Football Focus actually rated Jair Alexander. Right now, he's ranked the best cornerback in the NFL in man coverage. But as far as the offense, it's about what I expected. I expected the offense to start I didn't think they were going to come out whipping around 40, 50 points a game. But it's encouraging, though, because against the Bears, they put up 16. Last week against the Vikings, they put up 21. This last week, they put up 27. So they're getting more efficient every week, which is what Aaron Rodgers said was probably going to happen. He said, don't expect big things. Expect us to progressively get better throughout the year. And against the Eagles tonight, this is actually
Packers put up 10 points in week 1, just saying.
What's that?
The Packers put up 10 points in week 1, just saying, not 16.
That's what I said. 10 points against the Bears, 16 against the – oh, was it 10?
Yeah, it was 10, not 16. But, I mean, they still won.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're getting better every week. But
yeah, they are.
Sorry, winning. All this winning has got me.
Oh, my God. I knew it was coming.
But, no, I'm really excited. Against the – I think it's been – I don't know if they played the Eagles last year, but a couple years ago, it's been kind of the same thing. The Packers offense has started kind of slow, and Rodgers actually said something this week in a press conference that made me kind of excited. He said, there comes a point in the season where the offense needs to wake up and start balling out, and he thinks this is the week. So I'm hoping this is the week that we start to get Devontae Adams some touchdowns, because he hasn't scored yet at all this season, and he's been looking like a big fantasy football bust. But I actually picked up Marquez Valdez-Scantling on my fantasy team.
I did too.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a big playmaker. But Vikings and Bears game, yeah, one of them is going to lose, go 2-2. But yeah, it's going to be. I think NFC North is probably the best division of football, in my opinion.
I can definitely see that argument, because I think there really are potentially 4 playoff teams in this division right now. What about you, Shane? I know you had an interesting spin on things.
Well, yeah, I sort of spoke to what I thought just a minute ago, but one thing that came to mind again is the Vikings quarterback situation. And I know that Vikings fans are very frustrated with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we are.
And their 2 wins, to me, aren't totally convincing. They beat the Oakland Raiders, right? And the Falcons. The Falcons had an awful game. Crazy turnovers at the beginning. The game was, over before second half almost. What I just want to say is, like, the man's not playing, last season was his comparable to his best season with the Skins. So, I mean, you're definitely maybe not getting your money's worth, but you're not getting like any worse than he's ever been. And he's not any better than he's ever been, but he's not any worse compared to last season. If you look at the numbers, I mean, they're really comparable. So all I got to say to Vikings fans is you got to hang in there with your man and hope that he can provide.
Yep.
And all his weapons can help him.
Yep. I can agree with that. I kind of going into this, I'm as guilty as this of anyone. Way early in the offseason, I was saying he was worth the money. He threw 30 touchdown passes last year against only 10 interceptions. I was adamant about him being my dude and the dude for the Vikings. But the thing is they've got to come out this week. They've got a point to prove against the Bears. No matter what anybody says. What's that, Shane?
I'll be cheering for the Vikings this weekend against the Bears.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, well, that makes 3 of us. I'm actually really excited, because this is when there comes a certain point in the season when you have to come to a point where there's a week where it's the most telling that it's ever going to be. Like, there's a game that is going to tell you how the season unfolds the most. It just means the most. And this is a big game for the Vikings right now, because if you look at it, the Vikings, the Bears already lost to the Packers in week 1. Okay, that immediately puts the Bears in a hole, puts the Packers up at number 1. Okay, so then the Vikings went and won everybody else. But the Lions, Went and tied. That actually helped them out a lot. So this is a prove it week for the Vikings. I know the Bears have a really good defense, but the key is, again, Kirk Cousins didn't play awful against the Raiders, but then again, it's the Raiders. You guys know me. I'm one of the most honest Vikings fans you'll ever meet. I didn't give the Vikings a whole lot of credit for winning against the Raiders. It's like the Vikings playing Northern State University. They better win that game, okay? It's just, you better win that game, literally, because the Raiders aren't that as stacked as the Vikings are. You better win that game, and they did. So, if I'm being honest, I know that they should come out this next week and absolutely ball out. So they've got to be able to come out. Again, they have something to prove. They've got to come out running the football. They can't put the ball in Kirk Cousins' hands. That's not me taking shots at Kirk Cousins, because if we can run the football, we being the Vikings, can run the football this well the entire season, I don't see a reason as to why that the Vikings can't at least challenge for a playoff spot. I do think that you've got to be able to do a lot of different things with Kirk Cousins. You have to be able to do some different things as far as play action. But if you look at it, the Packers were the first team to do it. They were the first team to really sniff out that play action. And as a coach, I think you got to learn to hand off the ball to Dalvin Cook, because my fantasy season kind of falls on it. So please just keep giving the ball to Dalvin Cook. But also, if it's not broke, don't fix it, man. Just give the ball to Dalvin Cook and take as much pressure off Kirk Cousins as possible and play solid defense, because right now I think the Vikings, the Bears, and the Packers have three of the best defenses in the NFL. So I think that's going to be the key, And again, I'm not giving the Vikings a whole lot of credit, because I know that this last week was somewhat of a fluke. I mean, you kind of look at it. I mean, not a fluke, but the fact that they should have won that game. They led 21-0 at one point, and then I think the Raiders pulled like a flea flicker and went and scored. And then I was thinking, okay, the Vikings got some pressure on them now, and then they were able to answer. So as far as the first game against the Falcons, I actually thought that victory was a little impressive, because considering the fact that the Falcons were getting all of their talent back as far as all their injuries, I considered that kind of impressive, but then again, kind of not, because it was 21-0. If you're up 21-0 in the NFL, run the football and go home. That's literally what you got to do. So I consider it a little impressive. So as far as two of the three games, I would consider the one against the Falcons the most impressive. And obviously against the Packers, Kirk Cousins, you hate to put it on one guy, but you kind of dropped the ball there. But in reality, though, it was actually the whole team against the Packers. But, that's kind of a thing you got to look at.
There's a lot more mistakes there than just Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
And you got to give credit to the Packers defense there. How many times did before that pick in the end zone, did players have the ball literally in their hand? Jaire Alexander probably had it twice in his hand, and one of them was that touchdown to Diggs. Mm-hmm. He just lost that in the sun, but that, it was in his breadbasket just as much as it was in Diggs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of credit to the defense there. One thing I want to say about the Bears before I shut up is the Bears' defense is truly inspiring. It is so good, and they have so much talent. But the thing is just I just want them being the whole NFL, and why I'll be cheering for the Vikings this weekend is to expose how bad Mitch Trubisky really is. Can he win a game? Can he go out there and win the game and not put it on the defense? You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're constantly making plays. I think it's time that the Bears actually prove how good Mitch Trubisky is or not.
I can agree with that. I got to say, though, I think he threw 2 or 3 touchdowns against them, but I think it came back to the fact that they weren't the hardest touchdown passes to throw. They were the defense did it all. I think, did you guys see Danny Trevathan kind of give that a fake stutter step sack? I was like,
look away.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky, he did perform really well this past week, but that was the first half. They almost let, there was a time when the Redskins were going to come back. The Redskins, yeah, they were on their way, and then good old Vikings faithful Case Keenum.
I feel bad for that guy because he's going to be remembered as inconsistent, but a lot of people probably won't remember this. When he started the season out throwing 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, so I feel bad for him because I think he kind of deserves some credit because I believe he's not the worst NFL quarterback. I mean, he's not like Jamarcus Russell. Like he's got some respect to his name. You know, he's not the worst quarterback to ever do it. He's not, Deshaun Kaiser. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback by any means. So.
I just don't think he's the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, he's not a franchise quarterback, but I think he's a perfect scapegoat quarterback to bring in before you bring in Dwayne Haskins. I think that's exactly what he is. Like he is not a franchise quarterback. He's proven that. Case Keenum, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Mitch Trubisky.
Oh. No, Mitch Trubisky. Here's my thing about I'll finish up about Case Keenum.
He's equally garbage. So.
Okay, here's all I'm gonna say about Case Keenum is, again, he's a perfect scapegoat quarterback for Dwayne Haskins because Dwayne Haskins is gonna come in next year. And I think he's gonna tear up the NFL. I think he's got the arm strength. He only played 1 year at Ohio State, and he threw 40, 50 touchdown passes. And I think this is gonna be a good time. It's really good for him to be able to learn behind a quarterback like Case Keenum. Not because Case Keenum is that amazing, but I think it's really gonna prove to be really helpful because he's gonna be able to look at things, look at those reads, look at the defenses, read defenses, make all his reads he needs to before he's actually thrust into any action because let's face it, the man doesn't have to do anything right now. I mean, I just think he's going to come out good next year. Now, as far as Mitch Trubisky, I hate saying the guy's garbage, but he is this last week. I think he kind of proved a little bit that he could play a bit, but I need you to do it against a quality NFL defense, not the Redskins defense. And plus, it was your defense. Let's be real, your defense did bail you out. Like Case Keenum turned the ball over 5 times. Like, let's be real about here. If he goes against the Vikings defense and he puts up 21 points, I'll give him some props. But until that moment, I'm going to come back and say, as long as you stop the Bears run game, I think you're going to be able to take care of it and just put up a couple points, put up a couple touchdowns against that tough Bears defense. And I think you'll be able to get a win because I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to get 3 touchdowns against the Vikings defense. I'm knocking on wood because I'm a nervous type, but that's what I got to say about that. What's your take on it there, Tristan?
I think the whole fate of the Bears season is going to fall on the offense again for the Bears. I think it's going to end just like it ended last year. The defense is going to carry them to the postseason. I think the Bears will make it to the postseason.
Oh, wow.
But as soon as they play a team who can, they don't even have to stop the run. The Packers let them rush for 120 yards and they still lost. So as long as somebody can I think the biggest X factor in the Bears offense is containing Mitchell Trubisky and not letting him run the football because he's very athletic. He picks up first downs with his legs pretty easily. So the Packers exposed it pretty well. If you can contain Mitchell Trubisky, he's going to lose. He's going to lose the Bears game. He's going to throw a pick. He's going to make a mistake. He's not that good. So as long as he can stay contained, you can let the running backs run free. But there comes a point where the quarterback has to throw the ball. And I don't think Trubisky's ever going to probably not ever pull through in those big moments. But until I see otherwise, I think they made a pretty big mistake by passing up on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson to draft Mitchell.
Without a doubt.
So,
without a doubt. What about you, Shane? I know you were trying to say something.
I was just saying, what was that Tramon Williams said? Well, it was Tramon.
Oh, yeah, he's like, as long as we knew we were going to win if we could make Mitch Trubisky play quarterback.
Yeah. Like, he hit the nail on the head. You got to make him beat you with his arm. And Tristan made a comment on the podcast that I was kind of like, I didn't know if I agreed with, but then I watched the game. I was like, I agreed with it because I noticed it didn't seem like Mitch Trubisky could really throw to his left. So I was kind of watching the game, and I was like, how are you an NFL quarterback and you can't throw?
Yeah, that was a big thing last year. All the talk about him not being able to throw to his left. And, apparently they worked on it a lot in the offseason, but come the Packers game, everything he tried to throw to the left side of the field was overthrown, underthrown, threw it to the cheerleaders a couple times. Pretty bad throws throwing to his left. So,
yeah. Now let's kind of go into our final thing here. You guys have probably heard of him, and if you haven't, not a big deal. His name is Carson King. He was a college football fan that brought a sign to a game. Said, I'm not exactly sure what the sign said, but it was the premise of, that he just basically fill up his fridge with beer. But the premise of this thing, and a lot of people know about this, but he basically brought a sign just asking people to Venmo him money so he could get beer or whatever. But he basically only took enough money to be able to get 1 pack of Busch Light, whatever it was, and then he's donating the rest to charity. I got to start by saying that I believe that this gives me a lot of faith in humanity again. Like, I just let the redneck drink his beer. And, he's going to take the rest of that money. He's going to give it to a good cause. To me, it's just another great story. Like, it just makes me happy for America. Like, that guy's going to do that and give it. I think he's giving it to the Children's Hospital at Iowa. And, it's a really good story to see. It made my heart warm. And I know that may make me sound a little girly, but I'm okay with it because it was for a good cause. Shane, what did you think about it? Did you think that it was kind of one of those things that, or what? Did your heart get warm?
My heart got warm, Colton.
Okay.
I just thought it was pretty cool. He's just out there having fun, college game day. Send me some, money for beer. Like, anyone's going to do it.
Yeah.
And then, next thing you know, he's got a couple $1,000s in there. And I think it's pretty cool that he realized, I could really do something awesome with this. I don't need all this money. And so he decided that he was going to donate everything he raised, and I think now he's at like $1.4 million.
Yeah, $1.14 million. It's something like that.
A crazy number. So, I think I'm not even going to bring up the whole controversy with this. I just think it's a pretty cool thing, and I've been tracking it. Like, you wake up one day, $60,000. Oh, now he's got like $240,000. Now he's at 1.1 million. I just think that's pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Tristin, did your heart get warm?
It was pretty warm, Colton. But I didn't even actually hear about it until I looked it up just 2 days ago. I saw something about it on Facebook, but as soon as I looked into it a little more, it's pretty crazy. He just holds up a sign saying Busch Light needs replenished, Venmo me, whatever, and then he's getting all this money. And yeah, besides the controversy, which is absolutely ridiculous, kid's doing great things with his money and couldn't have gone to a better cause, and just props to him for that. And all the negative stuff that's come along with it, he doesn't deserve any of that. I don't know if it was because of a tweet or a Facebook post he made back when he was a freshman in high school. I would hate to see what I tweeted when I was a freshman in high school. But yeah, besides all that, I really hope that I think Busch Light stops supporting him. But I hope another beer company steps up and starts supporting him, just to kind of throw it in Busch Light's face. But I never drank Busch Light anyways because I'd rather not be hydrated. It's water anyways. But I hope somebody else steps up and supports this guy for the great things he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Does this kind of this shows that it's more than sports, doesn't it? Yeah. Either one of you can answer this. Yeah, I think it's more than football. It's more than basketball. There's a lot of great things. What about, does it restore either of your faith in humanity? Does it restore it, or does it take another step up?
I don't know. I think at all times, it's really hard, but we all just need to take a step back and realize, people and people you meet every day, there's a lot of good people out there. I think there's a lot more good than bad. So, yeah, it does. And it's just refreshing to see this coming from the sports world again. Honestly, kind of reminded me of all the efforts J.J. Watt made back when he raised all that money for hurricane relief.
Yeah. Tristin, let me ask you this. We're going to start going to our final segment here.
Sure.
Is there any team in the NFL that can beat the Patriots?
Yes.
You're going to say the Packers?
I genuinely think the Baltimore Ravens could beat the Patriots. Oh, wow. I think the Kansas City Chiefs could beat the Patriots. Oh, yeah, I think the Dallas Cowboys could beat the Patriots, and I think the Green Bay Packers could beat the Patriots.
Wow, that's like 4 or 5. I wasn't expecting that.
Until the Patriots play a team with a top 5 defense, we all know what their offense is capable of and what it's been capable of. Mm-hmm. But they haven't played, the most flashy teams, flashy defenses either, just like the Cowboys. Yep. But as soon as they come out and beat a really good team, I'll be impressed. I think they play the Bills this week. Yeah. The Bills have a solid defense, but I do think the Patriots will probably blow right through them. Mm-hmm. But until they play a top I don't know. I really hope the AFC Championship game is between Baltimore and New England or Kansas City and New England, because I genuinely think either of those teams could beat them.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of funny you say that. I'm a big fan of Allen. Josh Allen to me has been a very impressive quarterback this year. You're not obviously not.
You told me he was going to be one of the greatest ever.
I did. I was kind of going out on a limb. And then I also went on to say that the Bills defense sucked, even though it didn't. I was wrong on that. I do think he's going to come out this year. He's got 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Not great, but also not awful. But you got to kind of look at his talent. I think you got to give him a little bit more talent. I went out and got the Singletary. I think it's Devin or David Singletary from the Bills, and he ended up getting hurt. So you want to talk about my luck as a Vikings fan? Yeah, that didn't exactly help anything, but I think it's going to be important for the Bills to kind of come in this next week and do well. Because I do want them to see beat the Patriots. That'd be really cool. Really funny thing, because I got a couple of Patriots fans that are buddies, or Patriots buddies that are fans or whatever, and I think they're going to come in and hopefully do well. It's Devin Singletary. I apologize. But again, his receiving core isn't the most impressive. John Brown was really the only guy that's really popping out to me as I'm looking at the stats. But kind of going back to this, I want somebody to beat the Patriots. I don't care. I don't care if it's the Bills. I don't care if it's the Vikings. It doesn't matter to me. We've got to be able to take care of something and just be able to just do it. What about you, Shane? Do you think there's anybody that can beat the Patriots?
Yeah, I think I'm right on par with Tristin. Can the Bills do it this week? Probably not. I mean, Tom Brady's 30-3 against the Bills all time. I think. He'll probably take care of them unless they have some sort of valiant effort and come out with the W. But yeah, I think, Tom Brady's beatable. Their offensive scheme is just always so, surgical. But I think if you can disrupt that with a good defense, I think you can beat them.
Yeah. I can probably pretty much agree with that. You know what? I think this is pretty much the end of it. This has been a fun podcast again. I want to start off by saying that, I don't know if you guys heard of, but I put a video out on Instagram. Dang it! It meant Facebook. You guys know what I mean. Last night about us kind of canceling the membership with Anchor, but I think it was for the best for the podcast. So all the listeners of the Sports Brief podcast, just remember that we are on SoundCloud now again. Be sure to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We deeply appreciate that. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. Give Shane a follow. Obviously, you got to give my co-host a follow too. Come on, you got to give both these guys a big follow. Give them a big hand too. Nobody's clapping. No, it's just another great podcast. I'm looking forward to do this. Hopefully, we get approved for iTunes. That would be righteous. Then we're on the official podcasting app. Just been another great night. I got it. First of all, Shane, thank you for joining us. I had a lot of fun tonight.
No problem.
And then Tristin. My man, it's always a pleasure. Before we go, can we get a score prediction from both of you for the Packers game tonight?
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and say 37-31 Packers.
Okay. All right. This is going up tonight, so this is in the time. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the day. Wow, Colton, you got to get better. I apologize. It's Thursday, September 26th. It's about 6 o'clock. We started the podcast about 50 minutes ago. So if he does get this right, everybody, it will go down as one of the biggest guesses of all time. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. 37-31. Okay. Shane?
I'm going to take 27-17 Packers.
27-17. Okay. All right. A little bit more offense with Tristan. I like that. I like the offensive bit anyway. So, anyhow, I got to thank everybody for joining us again tonight. Be sure again to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and man, just keep balling out, doing your thing. I don't know. I'm sorry. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody.